keeping up with AI, it's a lot these days. April 3rd, 2025, and it feels like every day there's something new and groundbreaking and sometimes, honestly, overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of people out there just want to know, like, what actually matters? What do I need to pay attention to without getting bogged down in all the hype?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why we do this deep dive, taking the latest developments and kind of cutting through the noise to the stuff that's really going to make a difference. And today, well, we've got a fresh AIDB newsletter, hot off the press this morning, and it's packed with, well, let's just say interesting stuff.
Yeah, 4 major developments, actually. Really fascinating stuff. And we're going to go beyond just, the headlines here. We really want to understand what this means, the potential impact.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. The AIDB front end center, Codeium's Windsurf Wave 6.
Wave 6, okay.
And the big news, they're calling it deploys, which is short for one-click app deployment. And this could be a game changer for developers.
What?
Yeah, so imagine you're working on a web app, right, in their Windsurf IDE. You're coding away, and then, bam, one click, and it's live. A shareable website, just like that.
So what's really interesting here is how they're tackling, this notoriously tricky part of development, deployment. It's usually a real headache, right? Figuring out servers and domains and all these command line tools.
Quite a lot of overhead.
Yeah, exactly. But this deploys thing, it seems to just handle all that for you in the background. Like the newsletter says, it packages your app, uploads it, and boom, you've got a live URL.
And they're working with Netlify, which is, well, it's a pretty big deal in the web dev world.
Oh, yeah. Popular choice.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, while you can manage things further on Netlify, like custom domains and all that, the initial deployment, that magic moment, happens right there in Windsurf.
So seamless.
Super seamless. And get this, they're talking about adding other platforms too. So it's not just Netlify in the future.
So this seems very much in line with the whole push for better, faster workflows, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wave 4 had those previews for like refining your app before going live, and now it all connects. Plus, there are those enterprise features they've been rolling out, like MCP and Turbo Mode. Seems like they're really thinking about the whole development lifecycle.
Yeah, and it fits perfectly with the AI side of Windsurf too, right?
Yeah.
If you're using their Cascade AI to help you code, you can just like instantly test and share what you've built with one click. Super powerful.
Yeah, it's like, imagine a developer, the newsletter actually lays this out. They're building a JavaScript app using Cascade and previews to get it just right, and then boom, deploy live on Netlify.
Just like that. It's incredible.
And the response, it's been really positive. The newsletter mentions all this buzz on X and the web announcements yesterday. People were calling it a game changer. And, well, that kind of reaction usually means they've hit a nerve, right? A real pain point that people have been dealing with.
Absolutely. I mean, think about how much faster you can iterate. You can get feedback. You can collaborate. You can try out new ideas so quickly when you can deploy a live demo in seconds. That's huge.
Huge.
But okay, the newsletter also mentions a few things to consider. Like, it's Netlify for now, so it might be best for certain types of web apps. Maybe not ideal for super complex back-end stuff just yet.
Yep.
And in bigger companies, there might be some issues around admin control and all that.
Right. Yeah. Enterprise environments, they often have, their own set of rules and security protocols and whatnot. So there are those considerations.
But overall, for a lot of developers, especially those working on like front-end stuff or static sites, this seems like a really big deal.
Oh, yeah. A big step forward.
So for you, the learner, why should you care? Well, if you're even remotely interested in web development, or if you have ideas for, web-based tools or anything like that, this kind of technology makes it way easier to get started. You don't need to be a server expert or anything. And that feeling of seeing your project go live instantly, well, that's pretty amazing. It can really boost your productivity and motivation.
Absolutely.
Wave 6, let's talk about it. Here's a quick summary. What deploys a single click is all it takes to package and share your Windsurf built apps to the public. There is now enterprise access to MCPs and Turbo Mode. Commit message generation lets you summarize the current diff in one click. We made it easy to access and revert changes to past conversations. Tab uses search queries for context, and Jupyter Notebook also supports Tab. There's a bunch of other updates like MCP SSE support, an easier way to find and edit memories, a couple new icons, and more. If you're new here, we group all our major product updates into what we call a wave, so let's just break down what is in Wave 6. We have seen thousands of Windsurf users build incredible websites and applications, so we are thrilled to introduce deploys. With one click, You can push your websites and apps live to the public in seconds without ever leaving your workflow. In this beta launch, we have partnered with Netlify to make this a reality. Behind the scenes, we analyze your project, upload the files, and deploy it to a unique windsurf.build subdomain. You can claim your deployment to your personal Netlify account to track build logs in real time and redeploy to the same project ID whenever you want. Enterprise users now get access to turbo mode and MCP server support with full admin level control to manage access to these tools across the org. These features are enabled by default for new orgs, and existing ones can actually adjust the settings via the admin portal. You can now automatically generate get commit messages with just one click to summarize your changes directly in the source control management sidebar. And you can tweak the suggestion before committing. You can now easily scroll to or revert to past user messages using our table of contents feature. Additionally, Cascade now works significantly smoother when you're in an active, long conversation. Jupyter Notebook also supports Tab. You can get the full power of Windsurf Tab with autocomplete, supercomplete, tap to jump, and tap to import in your Jupyter Notebooks. Results from your file or workspace search will now be used as context in Windsurf Tab, allowing for a more intuitive and efficient workflow. On top of these, we created a faster tap to jump experience, even when your cursor position is much further away. And we made a long list of other Tab UI fixes and speedups. With our improved search and memory management panel, accessing memories has never been easier. In addition, you have full control over Cascade's auto-generated memories and can edit them at any time. There's new Windsurf app icons to choose from, so enjoy those. MCP servers now support connecting to remote servers. We redesigned the terminal experience, and we merged in the latest upstream VS Code updates. That is a wrap on Wave 6. There's just a lot going on, and to ensure that you have access to all these things, make sure you update to the latest version of Windsurf today. Surf's up!
All right, moving on to the second big thing from the AI DB, Lindy AI. They've launched something called Agent Swarms. And let me tell you, the newsletter makes it sound pretty exciting.
Agent swarms. Okay, this sounds intriguing.
Yeah, so they're claiming you can basically deploy hundreds of these AI agents all working together, like 247. And they say this can make them up to 100 times more effective.
Wow, 100 times. That's a pretty bold claim.
It is. So what they're aiming for is to really automate workflows to solve complex problems and manage workloads with, minimal human intervention. And apparently you set up these swarms using just natural language through their no-code platform.
No code, so even more accessible.
Exactly. And get this, it integrates with a ton of tools. I mean, Gmail, Zoom, HubSpot, things like that.
So basically, you could have like one swarm of agents researching leads, another writing personalized emails, and another scheduling meetings, all running in the background constantly. The newsletter even mentions customer support as a use case. It's wild.
It's like having an entire AI team working for you.
Yeah.
And that's actually what people are saying on X. The newsletter mentions all these posts from yesterday where people are like mind blown by this, talking about it as a game changer and speculating about, what this means for jobs and productivity.
Right. Yeah, those are just, individual reactions, but definitely shows how much interest there is. And officially, Lindy says this builds on their existing AI agent framework, but adds some really important stuff like multi-agent collaboration, looping capabilities, conditional logic so the agents can actually respond to each other, and real-time adaptability. It seems like a major step forward, especially after that whole Lindy 2.0 revamp they did last year.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're on a roll. And, if you think about the bigger picture, this aligns with the whole trend of multi-agent AI systems becoming more sophisticated. The newsletter actually mentions swarms.ai as another example. But Lindy seems to be focusing on, making this really accessible with the no-code aspect and targeting businesses specifically.
So if you're listening and you're thinking, man, I wish I could automate more of my work, well, this Agent Swarms thing could be a real game changer. The newsletter says to check out their official announcements or try the free trial if you want to really dig in.
Yeah, good advice. But even if you don't go try it out, for you, the learner, the takeaway here is that the way we work, it's changing, maybe even faster than we realize. Will we all have these AI-powered teams as a normal part of our jobs? What tasks could we hand over to these networks of AI agents? And what does that mean for our own time and how we use it? It's a lot to think about.
Today I'm going to show you how to not only build an insanely powerful agent, but an AI empire of agents. Instead of having just one agent to run tasks one by one, this agent is going to spin off into several mini agentic workflows to perform tasks in parallel and accomplish hours of work in literal seconds. Let's see how it works. So this agent is going to take one event page URL. It's going to scrape the event page and extract all the speakers. And then for each speaker, it's going to enter a loop. You can think of a loop as its own mini agent within the agent. It's then going to enrich the speaker. It's going to find recent news, PR, and media about them, find a podcast or interview they've been featured on, transcribe it, and then send a highly personalized outreach email to them. Now, the cool part is after that, it's going to find lookalike profiles on LinkedIn. For each lookalike profile, it's going to repeat the process. Let's see how it works live. So I just sent my agent this SaaStr event page that's going to be happening in San Francisco, May 13th to 15th. We're going to use Maggie as an example, and you can see all the steps that the agent performed and the outreach email. At the end, you can see all the lookalike profiles that my agent found for Maggie. It found over 20. We're going to use Katie Ivey as an example, and you can see the agent repeated the process and sent a personalized outreach email that honestly I couldn't have written better myself. Okay, so this agent just sent 370 highly personalized emails that are almost impossible not to respond to. And even as a seasoned prospector, this probably would have taken me a full day. All I did was send it a page URL. So if you're not leveraging AI agents, or at least learning how to, start now. This is only the start, and it's going to transform the way we work.
Okay, moving on. The third big story from the AIDB this morning is from the education world. Anthropic, the company behind that Claude AI, they've launched Claude for Education, and it's specifically aimed at colleges and universities.
Interesting. And they're really emphasizing critical thinking with this one. The newsletter talks about a feature called Learning Mode, which is part of Claude's projects tool. And it uses this Socratic method, asking questions like, how would you approach this problem? To guide students instead of just giving them the answers outright.
Which, that's a big concern with AI in education, right? People worried about students just getting the easy way out.
Oh yeah, academic integrity, it's a huge topic right now.
So this seems like a really smart approach, and they've already got some big names on board. Northeastern University, 50,000 users across their campuses, that's pretty massive. Plus, the London School of Economics and Champlain College, they're all in full campus-wide agreements, so clearly there's some real interest here.
Yeah, that's a strong start. And the newsletter gets into the specifics of how this can be used, and it's pretty impressive. Like for students, it can help with writing literature reviews, with proper citations, of course, and solving those tough math problems step by step, or even getting feedback on their thesis statements. For faculty, it can streamline things like creating rubrics, giving more personalized feedback on essays, even generating different types of academic materials, like chemistry equations, for example. And even administrators can use it for stuff like analyzing enrollment trends, automating responses to those common questions, or turning those long, complicated policy documents into simple FAQs.
Right, lots of potential applications there, and it seems like they've really thought about how to make this work smoothly within existing systems. They're partnering with Internet2, which connects a ton of universities in the US, and Instructure, the company behind Canvas, that popular learning management system. So they're integrating Claude right into the tool that people are already using, and Northeastern is even their first design partner, so they're working really closely together on this.
Smart move. And in terms of availability, it's live right now at those partner universities. But individuals can also get access with a Claude Pro account and a .edu email address. Plus, they're offering custom pricing for, those bigger campus-wide deployments. Seems like they've really thought this through.
Yeah, and the newsletter positions this as a direct competitor to ChatGPT Edu, which OpenAI launched last year. But Anthropic seems to be focusing on this guided learning approach and also highlighting their security features, which is super important for universities. And they're doing those student-focused things too, like the Claude Campus Ambassadors program and giving out API credits, really trying to engage that next generation of users.
Definitely. And, this isn't happening in a vacuum. The newsletter mentions a survey from 2024, and it found that a big chunk of college students are already using generative AI every week. So the demand is there. And for Anthropic, this could be a big win financially.
Right, makes sense. So for you, the learner, even if you're not in college yourself, this is still relevant. It shows how AI is changing the way we learn, maybe even the way we think. It's not just about finding information quickly anymore. It's about understanding it deeply, developing critical thinking skills. And Anthropic's approach, focusing on that guided learning and addressing those concerns about academic integrity, it's a really positive sign.
I agree. It's about empowering educators and students, not replacing them. Okay, last but not least, the fourth big topic from the AIDB today is a pretty heavy one. We're talking about the future of AI itself. Google DeepMind has published this massive paper, their safety strategy for artificial general intelligence, or AGI as they call it.
The AGI, okay, this is the big one.
Yeah, this is the one that gets a lot of people talking, and this paper really gets into it, potential timelines, the risks, and what DeepMind thinks we need to do to avoid disaster.
And the newsletter highlights this pretty scary prediction. They think AGI that can match, the top human skills could be here by 2030. And they're talking about like existential threats that permanently destroy humanity. That's pretty intense.
Intense is an understatement. And what's interesting is that they don't just talk about their own plan. They actually critique OpenAI's approach, which is focused on automating alignment. And they say Anthropic, well, they're not as focused on security as they should be. So there are some real differences in how these big AI labs are thinking about this whole safety issue.
And they point out this specific risk, deceptive alignment, which is basically like, even if an AI seems aligned with our goals during training, it could be hiding its true intentions and only reveal them once it's powerful enough. And the newsletter says that even the current LLMs, the large language models, they show some signs of this. That's a little unsettling.
Yeah, a little unsettling is one way to put it. So DeepMind's recommendations, they kind of boil down to two main things. First, preventing misuse, like making sure that bad actors can't get their hands on this technology and cause harm. So really strong cybersecurity and access controls. And second, addressing this alignment issue, making sure that AI systems can recognize their own limits and know when to escalate decisions to humans.
So for you, the learner, why should you care about this? It's because this is like the biggest conversation happening in AI right now. We're not just talking about, making AI better or more efficient anymore. We're talking about making sure it doesn't destroy us.
Exactly. And as the newsletter points out, with the speed of AI development and all these new labs and open source models popping up, figuring out how to ensure safety on a global scale, it's a huge challenge.
Yeah, if all these different groups have different ideas about how to do it, how do we make sure everyone's on the same page? It's a big question.
A huge question, and one that doesn't have any easy answers. But DeepMind putting out this plan, it's a start. And it shows just how seriously they're taking this. It also shows just how complex and urgent this issue really is.
Well, there you have it, our deep dive into the 4 big stories from today's AIDB newsletter. One-click app deployment, agent swarms, Claude for education, and that big AGI safety plan from Google DeepMind. A lot to unpack.
A lot to unpack. We've tried to give you not just the information, but the context, the why behind it all, and hopefully spark some new thoughts along the way.
And as AI keeps advancing at this incredible pace, the questions around how we use it, how we control it, how we learn with it, and how we make sure it's safe, those questions are only going to become more important.
Absolutely.
So thinking about everything we've talked about today, what do you think will have the biggest impact in the years ahead? It's a question worth pondering, that's for sure.